At this stage, I really just want to kind of talk to them and hear what they can tell me about their project, what they're enjoying with their project. Do they know if they've got what breed they've got? And so I think all five of these kids up here and the one helper are doing an excellent job. They've brought animals that are very well cared for and well loved. Let's give the youngsters here in Mini 4-H a round of applause.
Okay, we need to have the Havana Black senior bucks. How many senior does? Yeah, once you guys have gotten your awards, you guys can go ahead back. Thank you. And go ahead and bring the senior doe up as well.
Okay, we're going to start with our black Havanas here this morning. Havanas are a small, compact breed. We want a round depth of body. We want a full loin through the center of the hips and then some fullness in the lower hindquarters. And then the fur and color is very important on this breed as well. So starting with our senior buck, he is H13, I believe. He'll be first. He's got good shape to the head and ears. He's got a good depth of body there at the shoulders, but when he gets to the high point, he's fairly hollow through that loin and then doesn't have a lot of fullness down in the lower hindquarters. And he's just a little bit rough on his flesh condition over the top today. He's got good black color, but the texture to his coat's just a little bit on the coarse side today. Okay, our black senior doe, it looks like is H1 and then maybe a 4 or an 8. I couldn't tell for sure there. She's got good shape to her head and ears as well. She's a little bit narrower in body throughout, doesn't have quite the fullness there in the loin that the standard calls for, and she's fairly narrow in the lower hindquarters. She too is a little bit rough on her flesh condition, but again, the black color is very good. She's starting to transition coat. You can see some of that hair is starting to come out, and again, the texture is a little bit on the softer side. junior doe, it looks like, is H12. She'll be first in her class. Good shape to the head and substance of ears. She's got good depth of body there at the shoulders. High point needs to be carried a touch further back, and she lacks some fullness of loin, but does have a little more fullness in the lower hindquarters. She's more appropriate on the texture to her coat, a little bit better density to her coat as well. In the black, she'll be the best of variety black. The senior buck will be best opposite variety, and our senior doe can go ahead and go back. We have another variety.
Go ahead and bring up the two broken. I believe one is a senior doe and one is a senior buck. And you can go ahead and put the chocolate up as well.
Okay, in our brokens here, we have a senior buck. His ear number is F11X. Give him credit for good shape to his head and substance of ears as well. He's just a little narrow in body there at the shoulders. Carries good depth of body, but needs more fullness from the loin down into the lower hindquarters. Very good color to his coat. He's got the most appropriate texture we've had so far in the Havana breed. Lacks a little bit of density, though. Okay, our senior doe looks like her ear number is WF40F. She's got a good shape to the head and ears. She's got fairly good body type, a lot of depth of body at the shoulders, carries that depth through the center of her hips, and has good fullness of loin and lower hindquarters. She lacks density of coat, and her texture is, again, on a little bit of on the coarser side. Good color to her coat. The senior buck will be the best of variety broken. The senior doe will be best opposite variety. Okay, our chocolate junior buck here is H16. This guy's just still fairly immature, but has good side profile, a lot of depth of body through the center of his hips, fairly full through that loin and lower hindquarters. He fails on maturity of coat, though, yet today. You can see that his coat is a little bit inconsistent on his color. The chocolate color that's coming over the top is super dark and really intense, but where he hasn't molted out that young baby coat, he's still a little bit on the lighter side, and the texture up there is still incorrect. It's still more of that cottony side that we get with youngsters. So just needs some more maturity here to have a little bit more appropriate Havana coat. So he'll be first in his class. He's the only chocolate, so he'll be best of variety chocolate. Is that the whole breed? Okay, in our Havana breed, again, we're looking for something that's got a balance of body structure, but also has some good coat and good fur to go with that. Today, your best of breed is going to be our broken black buck right here. Best opposite sex will be the black doe.
So the best Havana was presented by Graham Madison, and best opposite was by Grant Madison. So now we are moving on to Hollands, and we are going to start with the broken senior buck. We should have 3.
Okay, we switched gears here to our Holland Lop, so we've got a breed that's very different from the Havanas. We want a big, bold head, some good curvature to that head down into the lower cheeks. We want those ears to just frame the head nicely, drape down right along the sides, have big, full, round ears with a lot of substance of ear. Something with a good depth of body. So we want that head to be mounted up high off the table and then round down over into the loin and lower hindquarters here. The one broken buck that we've got here has got good width to that head, good development down into the lower cheeks. He's got a crown that allows those ears to frame the head very nicely. You can see those ears just round right around the sides of his face there. Pretty good substance to those ears as well. Good depth of body at the shoulders, but I'd fault him for being a little bit long in his overall type. He's just a little bit lengthy through that shoulder in that midsection before he rounds over that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. He's got a good coat condition today. Just fair flesh condition today. Someone else bringing a senior doe? This is the senior. Okay. Do we have any juniors? No broken. Okay. Okay, on our one senior doe in this entry, she'll get a first place here. She's a touch narrower on that head shape than what the standard calls for, just a little angular along the jawline. The ears do come down around the head, but the crown could be a touch wider so that they frame the head a little bit closer to the face there. And then as you look at those ears, there's just a little bit of a crease down the center of the ears because the crown lacks some depth of ear, or depth of crown. It does have good substance, though, and good shape to those ears. Good depth of body at the shoulders, but again, she's a little longer through that midsection. Does round well over that loin, has very good flesh and coat condition today. Just fair color. How about a junior buck? It's a buck. That's okay. Buck, not a doe. So switch that up on it. Well, he's changed. Sometimes at very young ages that happens. Yep. But when you flip it over, it's definitely a buck today. So we all have that happen from time to time as youngsters. We just get them wrong. Not sure. JBO. No, it's BB. Okay, I can take that. 01. Yep. Okay, our single entry here. We have a junior buck up here. He's lacking a little bit of width between the eyes there. Does have fairly good fullness in the lower cheeks. Needs a little bit more width to that crown. Again, the ears, they want to pull out a little bit from the side of the face there. Very good substance to those ears. Pretty good shape to the ears. Fairly good depth of body at the shoulders. Again, a little lengthier through that midsection, but turns well over that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. We've got one with a magpie style of color here, so keep in mind as you choose, if you go to some open shows and stuff, this would actually be more like a harlequinized marked one. So it's not necessarily a recognized color for the ARBA, but it is marked fairly well and does have good type and condition for you. Okay, that was all the brokens, right? Okay. So in our brokens here, we've got our 3 class winners. The best of variety in the brokens today is going to be the senior buck. He's got the most mass and width and development to that head and the best crown and ear shape. The senior doe then will be best opposite sex. Okay, in this class we've got 4 entries here. Fourth place will be this tort here, the GKS1 buck. He's a touch narrower on that head shape than some of the others, not as round and full in the lower cheeks. Does have good width to that crown. The ears do frame the head fairly well. Very good substance of ear. He fails a little bit on his body type, though. He wants to kind of pull himself down to the table. Doesn't have that high head mount and the smoothness through that loin and lower hindquarters that some of the others have. He's also a little bit more rough in his flesh and his coat condition today. You can see he's transitioning coats up over the top there, and that spoils the density and the texture and the color all in that area. Good job. Okay, so the HC buck here is going to be second. He's got good width to that head and development down in the lower cheeks. Good width to the crown. The ears frame the head very well. They're opened up nicely. Good substance of ear. He's a little bit on the larger side, a little bit bigger boned than what the standard would call for. Doesn't have quite that high head mount again and is not quite as smooth in that transition through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. He does have good texture to his coat, but he's got a lot of scattered white hairs in that coat that spoil the color just a little bit. That was third, yes. TJ. TJ is going to be second in this class. Fairly good width between the eyes, but he doesn't carry that boldness all the way down into the lower cheeks there. Gets just a touch narrow, more refined on the head structure and the head width there. He does have good width to the crown. The ears do frame the head fairly well. Could be a touch wider, though, for the ears to be a little bit more naturally right around the cheeks there. A little bit better body type on this guy than the bucks right below him. He's rounder and fuller and has a better head mount than the others. Smoother as we come over the top of that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Just a touch coarse on his coat. Give a T7. Okay, so our class winner here in the solid senior bucks is going to be T7. He's got the best shape to that head. It's round and full through the center of the eyes, rounds down well into the lower cheeks with very full muzzle. He does need more width to that crown. You see those ears, they want to pull out away from the head. So a touch more width there would bring those ears down naturally around the side of the head. But good length to those ears, very good substance of ear as well. He's a little bit better on his overall body structure as well. A little bit better head mount, smoother through that shoulders and down into the lower hindquarters. Very good coat condition today, though it's a little uneven as he's transitioning on that coat. The color is a little inconsistent. Very good job, guys. We'll go ahead and send those 3 back, okay?
Okay, we're ready for senior does.
Okay, this class of solid senior does here, we've got 4 good entries. 4th place is going to be the EMS1 doe. She doesn't have as much mass and development and width up front as the other 3 does. She's a touch narrower between the eyes, doesn't have the fullness down in the lower cheeks. Her crown does frame the head very well. The ears come right down around the sides of the face there. Good substance to those ears. And then she fails just a little bit on her type compared to some of the others. She's a touch narrower in body at the shoulders, fairly hollow through that loin. She does have good coat condition up over the top, but she lacks a lot of finish to that coat. You can see it's transitioning. So we get down into that lower hindquarters there, and she's got an older coat that's got a totally different texture than what the fur should be. Do you have an N52 or an NS2? Okay, 3rd place in this class here is what I would call maybe the bigger broody doe. She'd probably do a really good job of raising a litter, but she's not quite in her prime like the other 2 are. She's a touch narrower in her head compared to the other 2 does. It just doesn't balance quite with all this width of body she has. She's narrower down there in the lower cheeks. And then when you look at that crown, the ears just come down and they crease right down the center of the ears. There's just not enough width of crown for those ears to open up quite as naturally. She does have good depth of body, and she's rounder and fuller through that loin than the one that was right below her. She's also got a better coat condition, color, and flesh condition, so that's why she's in 3rd instead of 4th today. Second, it ends in L-O something B. Okay, I'll check that for sure. Okay, our 2nd place doe in this class, she's just not quite as developed as the 1st place doe on that head. She's a touch narrower between the eyes, not as round and full in the cheeks, and then that crown sets those ears just a touch wider on the side of her head there. She does have good substance of ear, good shape to those ears as well. The top 2 does are more appropriately sized for the standard and also have better overall type. She's higher there at the head mount on the shoulders. She's got a little bit more depth of body, blends well over that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. And she's got good coat condition today as well. Good color. First place in this class is going to be T1. She's a little bit more developed on that head. She's got more width between the eyes and development down into the lower cheek. She's got a little bit better width to that crown. The ears frame the head well. They're opened up nicely with good substance. She's got a lot of depth of body at the shoulders, and she blends very smoothly through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. I'd fault her on lacking a little bit of flesh condition to the 2nd place doe, and she lacks some coat condition. You can see the front 3rd is finished here. She wraps over that loin and down into the lower hindquarters, and she just needs to continue to molt to make that one more consistent color.
Okay, go ahead and bring up your solid junior bucks.
Okay, I guess we don't have any juniors, so we're looking at the 2 seniors here for best and best opposite of variety. The senior buck's a little bit more massive in his head, but doesn't have quite the crown that the senior doe has. She's a little bit better on her crown, but doesn't have quite the flesh condition. So there's a little bit of give and take here for best and best opposite of variety. There's just a few more points there on the head, ears, and crown. So the senior buck today is going to be your best. The senior doe will be best opposite. Okay, when we look at the Holland Lobs for best of breed, one of the things I think we really need to consider here is size. We've got a max weight of 4 pounds on this breed. We look at both of the Brokens, they're very much on the upper end of that weight scale. The two solids are sized a little bit more appropriately. Because of them being a little bit on the bigger side, they also don't have quite the body structure. So the solids are going to be best and best opposite because they're just put together a little bit better. They're more compact there. They've got a little bit better head mount, and they're smoother and rounder when we come over their loins. So best of breed will be our solid senior buck, and best opposite sex would be our solid senior doe.
Okay, so now we are moving on to mini Rex. We're going to start in the mini Rex. We're going to start with the self variety, which will be the senior black buck. So the winner of the Holland Lop was Connor Bass, and the best opposite was Kendall Bass. So I need senior black mini Rex bucks. Do we not have any? How about senior black does? Junior black bucks. I know we've got junior black bucks. Go ahead and bring up, does anybody have a junior black doe?
Okay, in our black junior buck class here, we have two good entries. Second place is 660JA. He's got good shape and substance to the head and ears, good depth of body. He lacks a touch of fullness through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Both of these animals have got very good density to their coats, fairly good texture. He's just a little bit more brown on his color today compared to the winner. First place has got good shape to the head and ears. He's a little bit more compact on his overall type, and he's smoother through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. He's got very good density as well, good texture, and he's more black on his overall color. This is the only class of black, so he'll be the best of variety black.
Okay, so chocolates. Senior bucks. And go ahead and bring up the two junior does as well. Also, just so everybody knows, if you were a breed winner, do not leave. Stay around until we're done because we will choose a best and reserve champion at the end of the show.
With the chocolate senior buck here, we've got K30. He's a good entry. He's got good shape to that head. Good substance of ears, though they are a little bit on the lengthier side for the breed. Good depth of body at the shoulders. Carries good fullness through the loin, but lacks some fullness in the lower hindquarters. He fails on his coat today, though. Just looking at him, the color is starting to get kind of a rusty brown shade to it. It's just a little bit cottony on his texture as well, but he does have good density to his coat. Okay, our junior doe here, M5, has got good shape to her head, good substance of ears. She's got a good side profile, carries good fullness through the loin. Could use a touch more fullness in the lower hindquarters. She's more appropriate on her chocolate color, but she still lacks some maturity of coat, so the texture's just a little bit on the cottony side today. She'll be the best of variety chocolate. The senior buck will be best opposite.
Okay, lilacs.
Okay, in our lilac variety here, we have a senior doe. Entry is M2. She's got good shape to the head, very good substance to those ears. Good width of body there at the shoulders, a lot of depth of body on this doe. Carries good fullness through that loin and lower hindquarters. She's got a very dense coat, just fair texture to the coat. It's just a little bit on the coarser side, which happens sometimes with the dilutes here. Very good overall lilac color, though. Okay, our junior doe here is M3, another good entry in the lilac mini Rex. She's got good shape to her head and substance of ears. Good depth of body there at the shoulders. She carries good fullness through the loin, but lacks some fullness in the lower hindquarters. Again, really appreciate the lilac color on this doe, but she's still immature on that coat, so the texture isn't quite right yet. It's still just a little bit on the coarser side, and she lacks some density to that coat. The senior doe will be the best of variety lilac.
Okay, go ahead and bring up your whites.
Okay, our white senior doe here, she'll be first. She lacks a little bit of width to that head. She's just a touch narrow and refined there, lacks some substance of ear. But she does have very good type, a lot of depth of body at the shoulder. She blends that very smoothly through the loin and has a lot of fullness in the lower hindquarters. Very dense coat, good texture as well, and good white color. And that's all myself.
So if you have a rabbit up here at the table, he's going to pick the best self color right now. So please come up.
Okay, very good group of self mini Rex here. Some of these were the only entry in their variety, but I think that they could compete with some other animals if they were at a larger show. Today, your best of variety or best of group self will be our white doe. Best opposite of group will be the black buck.
Okay, we are ready for our shaded category, and that will be the senior torts.
Okay, just one entry here in our shaded class. We've got G50. She'll be first. Good shape to the head and very good substance of ears. She's a little bit on the larger side, so she's a little lengthier in her body type. Has a lot of depth and width to go with that. But the standard calls for 4.5 pounds to be the max, and she's definitely up there on that end. I think she'd make a fine brood doe, but she's a little past her prime as far as her show career goes. You can see that the coat's a little bit more pitted on that texture, a little bit uneven on the length, and a little uneven on her color as well today.
Okay, now we are ready for the senior buck otters. Senior buck otters. Okay, that's fine.
Something to pay attention to. When I stick my hand over it, like, immediately feel it. Just looking at him in there, it just looks like he's got like a little ridge of fur, but it's definitely an abscess. It may end his show career if you try and lace it, but it may not. It may heal just fine, so. How's it going? Good. Yes, we got an opal. Yeah. So you see when you blow into that coat? Yeah, we got some ring color there. So this is we're gonna move it from the otters into the opals. So we're gonna put it down here with the caster, okay? Accepted variety, just not the way it's entered at the moment. So, okay. I did not. It'll go in the agoutis when we get there. So, yeah. So just the two senior bucks then? Sure. You have more otters, but just the two senior bucks. Okay. So this one's better than that one, but because of that abscess, I'm going to put it in second place today. If I was keeping one to breed, this is the one I would keep to use. So, throwing that out there for you. Okay, second place, 664 JA. Okay, we've got two here in the Otter Senior Buck Class, 664 JA. We've just got fair head shape here on the second place buck, a little thinner on the ears. Good depth of body there at the shoulders. Blends well through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. He's got more density and better texture than the other buck. Just lacks a little bit of flesh condition and fur condition today. Okay, 648 JA is going to be first. Bolder shape to that head, good substance of ears. He's got good depth of body there at the shoulders. Balances well through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. A lot of depth of body. This guy's a little bit on the larger size, a little bit heavier in his bone structure. Feels a little on his coat structure, though. It's a little bit coarser on the texture, and it's a little bit more brown on his overall color today.
Okay, we're ready for the Otter Senior Does. go ahead and bring up your Otter Junior Buck and your Otter Junior Doe.
Our Otter Junior or Senior Doe here, she's just a touch narrow on that head and lacks some substance of ear, but she's got good depth of body, carries very good fullness through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Super dense coat, texture's good. The color's just a little bit off today. You can see she's a little bit brown on her coat today, getting into that summer heat. When she molts that back out, I think she'll have very appropriate color at that point, though. So our junior buck entry here, JS52, he's got good shape to the head and substance of ears. He's got a good side profile, but doesn't have quite the fullness of loin and lower hindquarters the standard would call for. And then he's got an older dead coat, so you just look at him and you can see that it's a little bit brown on his color, makes the texture in those areas a little bit coarser than what the standard would call for. So that spoils his color and his texture a little bit. Fair density to his coat today. Our junior doe is going to be first here as well. She's got good shape to the head and substance of ears. Good depth of body. Blends very well through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Very good density to her coat. Just a touch soft on the texture to her coat. Good color today. She will be the best of variety in the otters. The senior buck will be best opposite variety. So both of these two, the senior doe and the junior buck, can go ahead and go back, okay? That's the junior buck right there. And that's the senior doe, she can go back. Okay, so what's the whole group? There were no other otters, tan patterns. Okay. So our otters were the only entries in our tan pattern group here in the mini Rex. So the best of group otter, or the best of group tan, will be the otter junior doe. Best opposite in the tan pattern will be the otter senior buck. Welcome back. How's it going? Good. Caster doe. Okay. And what's the opal? Is it a buck? Okay. And just so you know, these two colors can breed together fairly well. Because they're both a beauty, shouldn't have any issues if you wanted to use them together as a breeding pair. The one thing I'll mention, all three of your rabbits have felt so far. They're just a little bit rougher in their condition. I would recommend that you maybe consider like worming them. A lot of times, maybe they're eating enough food, but they're not processing it very well. And so that might be something to do to help you out a little bit there, okay? So we just got the two agoutis, right? Okay. Our caster's a senior doe. How about Lily? Lily? Okay, so in our agouti group here, we've got a caster senior doe. This is first place. She's got good shape to the head, a little bit thin on the substance of ears. She's got a lot of depth of body at the shoulders, but she doesn't carry that depth clear through the center of her hips. She just flattens out a little bit, gets a touch hollow from that loin down into the lower hindquarters. She's just got fair texture. She's a little bit softer on that texture today, and just fair ring color as well. She is the best of variety caster. We move over to our other agouti entry here, our Opal Senior Buck. His ear number is MS99, it looks like. He's got good shape to the head and very good substance of ears, though they are a little on the lengthier side. Good depth of body there at the shoulders, lacks some fullness through the loin, and then down into the lower hindquarters just gets hollow and narrow there at the table. Good texture to his coat, just fair density to his coat, good color. He'll be the best agouti. The caster doe will be best opposite sex group. Yep, wing flap. And I'm going to put them right down here on this end, okay? We'll just leave them right where they're at.
Okay, now we're ready for broken senior bucks. I don't think. Jesse, I need your buck. Go ahead and bring up the broken senior does. The broken senior buck and the broken senior doe. We only want the senior.
Is that a senior buck or senior doe? So far I've looked at two does. This is a buck. Okay. Well, so's the one on the end. You're good. You're fine. Do you guys keep your rabbits together sometimes? Okay. My recommendation would be to get them some separate cages, and here's why. The two otter bucks you had, the one's got the abscess and the other one's got chewing. I'm guessing the abscess is probably caused by that. I looked at both of these senior does. They've been fighting each other is what it boils down to. And so if you want to have stuff that stays in good condition, you need to keep them separate so that they don't end up injuring themselves, okay? They are in separate cages? Okay. Well, maybe a solid divider or something, because they're fighting somehow. That's all I can tell you for certain. So, I mean, the condition and everything on them's good, but just 3 or 4 of them have all had some sort of an injury right around their lips. And rabbits, especially does, tend to be cage dominant, so you get something near them and they attack. So, do you have an MS-25? Okay. In our broken senior doe class here, 3rd place is going to be MS-25. She's a touch narrower on that head, a little bit lengthier on the length of ears here. She's just a little flatter in her body type and doesn't have the fullness of loin and lower hindquarters. And then she fails a touch on the texture of coat. When you look at her coat, you can see that there's a kink or a wave to the end of that. Because of some staining and because of the age of this coat, it's just a little bit coarse on its overall texture. Just fair on her overall color today. She can go ahead and go back, okay? Do you have an ALY? Okay, 2nd place is the ALY doe. She's a touch narrower on that head, lacks a little bit of substance of ear. These two both excel the other doe on body and on coat condition today. They're rounder through the loin, fuller down into the lower hindquarters. And then they've got more appropriate texture. When you look at the coat, you can see that the length of that coat is just a little bit more appropriate, makes the texture significantly better. Just fair color today on her. She's got an older coat that's a little bit brown on its color. JA87, I'm not sure, 3-1. Yeah, I'd take that. Okay, first place here. She's got good shape to the head and substance of ears. Good type. She's got a lot of depth of body at the shoulders, blends well through the loin and lower hindquarters. I fault her a little bit on her coat. When you look at her, you can see that she's got some scattered white hairs that are a little longer in their overall length, and that makes the texture in those areas just a little bit coarser than what is ideal. But she's got very good density and good color.
Okay, we are ready for junior bucks, broken. Go ahead and bring up your junior doe as well.
I think it's an M4. Okay, in our broken junior bucks, we have an M4 here. He's got a really bold shape to that head, good shape and substance to those ears. Good side profile, carries a lot of depth, but still carries good width of loin and lower hindquarters to balance with that. Very dense coat, just a little bit coarser on the texture. Good color, good pattern. Okay, our one junior doe entry here. She's got good shape to the head and substance of ears. She's got good depth of body at the shoulders, blends very smoothly through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Again, good density to the coat, very good texture as well. Good overall color and pattern. Our broken classes here have all just only had a couple entries in them, but I think are very good as our class winners, especially here. A lot of fur on the three class winners we've got left here with some good type. Best of variety in the brokens is going to be our junior buck. Opposite will be the junior doe. Very good. Okay, our senior doe can go ahead and go back.
Okay, if you have a mini Rex best of group or best opposite of group, please come up.
Okay, a really good group of mini Rex left up here on the table. We've got some good group winners here. I think these animals would be competitive at other places as well. So very nice job on getting them well conditioned. We're into mid-July here, and having this kind of density and texture is a little bit tough sometimes. So very nice job on that for the exhibitors here. I think for me there was one that's kind of an easy breed winner, a lot more density, a little bit more body than the others. That's the broken buck. He's going to be your best of breed winner. Gets a little bit closer for opposite of breed. We've got a really good otter doe, a white doe, and a broken doe that really are kind of the three in contention there. They all have some good type. The white doe is probably the densest coat of the three. Doesn't have quite the color in the lower hindquarters. The broken doe probably has the least density, but maybe the best texture. And then we've got the otter that's kind of the combination. She's got good type, fairly good condition, and also has some good texture and density there. When you weigh those things against the standard, the one that's closest for me today is the otter doe. She'll be best opposite sex of breed.
Okay, we're moving on to Netherland dwarfs now. And we're going to start in the self group. And it'll be the whites. Go ahead and bring up your Siamese sables as well. Okay, I got chewed out. I forgot to announce who the winner of the Mini Rex class was. The best of breed was Mackenzie Spillman with a broken, and best opposite was Shaylee Graber with an otter.
Okay, in our Netherland dwarfs here, we're looking for a breed animal here that's got a round, bold shape to that head, good short little ears with a lot of fur to them, a bright, bold eye, and then another one with that higher head mount that just blends smoothly from shoulders down in the lower hindquarters. Our white entry here, he's going to be first. He's also the variety and the group winner as the only self today. He's got good width between the eyes, but he gets just a touch angular along the jawline there. Needs to be rounder and fuller through that muzzle. Good position to the eyes, good color to the eyes. Ears are placed very well on his head, but he could use a touch more substance and fur on those ears. Needs a bolder chest. You see some body taper here. We want this width of chest to be just as wide as it is through that loin, so he just gets a little bit wider as we come over those hips and down in the lower hindquarters. Excellent color today, very good flesh condition, good coat condition as well. Our Sable Senior Buck is ear number MR71. Okay, he'll be first. Okay, in our Siamese Sable, in our shaded group here, we have a senior buck. He could use a touch more width and roundness and development to that head. Needs more fullness between the eyes and down into the lower cheeks. Does have a very good placement and bold shape and substance to those eyes. Needs a touch more substance and strength at the ear base. He wants to scissor the ears a little bit, and they're just a touch thin. He does have a good depth of body. Blends very smooth from that shoulder down into the lower hindquarters. He's a little bit dark on his overall color pattern today, but has good coat condition. Our senior doe is MR58, I believe. Okay, and our Siamese Sable Senior Doe here, she too could use a touch more width and development to that head, but she's got a rounder, fuller cheek, good placement to the eyes, they're bright and they're bold, good short length to the ears, could use a touch more substance to the ears, good depth of body there at the shoulders. She needs a touch more width there at the shoulders to blend with the width through that loin. Does have good fullness in the lower hindquarters, good coat color today, fairly good on its finish, good texture to it as well. She'll be the best Siamese Sable. The senior buck will be best opposite. And that'll also be how your group goes. She'll be the best of group, and the senior buck will be the best opposite sex of group.
Okay, go ahead and bring up your chestnut, squirrel, and chinchilla.
Okay, in our chestnut class here, we've got one junior buck. He's got good width between the eyes, good round fullness to those cheeks. Needs a little bit bolder shape to the eye. Well-placed ears, good shape to those ears as well. They're rounded as we come up over the top. They could use just a touch more fur on those ears, but good substance of ears. He's a touch narrow in body there at the shoulder. Shows a little bit too much body taper as we come through that loin. Does have good texture to his coat, good color as well, good density. Is our chin a junior or senior? The chin, is it a junior or senior? Okay. So our chinchilla senior buck here is MR77. He could use a touch more boldness and width between the center of the eyes there, but good roundness to those cheeks, development down into the lower cheek and muzzle region there. Really good substance to those ears, good shape to the ears as well. Could use a touch bolder eye. Good depth of body there at the shoulders, blends well through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. A little bit coarse on the texture to his coat and a little uneven as he's transitioning coats, but good overall color. He'll be first in class and best of variety chinchilla. Okay, and then our squirrel here, the little junior doe, she'll be first. She's just a touch narrow on that head and a little angular along the jawline there. A little lengthy on the ears to balance with the body at this stage, but has good substance to those ears. She lacks some depth of body at the shoulders, just a touch narrow through the shoulders down into the lower hindquarters. And she lacks a lot of maturity of coat today. She still has a baby coat, so the texture is very cottony. She doesn't have quite the ring color yet because she's not transitioned through that immature coat yet. She'll be first in her class and best of variety squirrel. And then when we look at these three, as we're talking about our agouti winner, the chinchilla senior buck will be the best of group. The squirrel junior doe will be best opposite sex group.
Okay, we go ahead and bring up the otters.
Okay, our senior doe here, MR56, she needs a bolder width to that head. She's a touch narrow between the eyes, a little more angular along the jawline than what the standard calls for. She does have a very bright and bold eye, placed well on the head, good shape and size. Fairly good length to those ears, but she does lack a little bit of substance to those ears, a little bit pointed as they come up towards the tips. We get her to set up there on the front end, and she's just a touch narrow in body there at the chest. Shows just a little bit too much body taper. We want that to be wide at the chest as it is through that loin. She's a little more open about her coat today, so she's got kind of a coarse texture to that fur, but good color. MR72, I think. Our junior doe here, she's going to be first as well. She's got good width to that head to balance with the width of the body. She's round and full through the cheeks, good length to the ears, very good substance of ears. Though again, they're just a little bit pointed as they come up towards the tips. We'd like to see them a little more opened up and a little rounder. She's got good uniformity of width throughout. Doesn't show some of that body taper that we've seen in some of the others. Just fair texture to her coat today. She's still immature on that coat, a little bit coarser on her overall texture, good color. She'll be the best of variety otter. Is that all of our teams? And she'll be the best of group. Okay, she's just best of variety otter at the moment. The senior though can go back, okay? Okay, our Sable Martin senior buck here. He'll be first. He's got good width to that head, round and full through those cheeks. Eyes are placed well on the head, good boldness and brightness of eye, good shape. Good length to the ears. They are just a little bit pointed and they lack some substance of ear. They lack a little bit of fur on those ears as well. Good depth of body though there at the shoulders. He blends very smoothly through that loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Good bold chest shape on him. Fairly good color. He lacks just a little finish right over the top that spoils his color a little bit there, but good color and texture everywhere else. He will be our group winner. The otter doe will be opposite. Do you have some Hemis? Get the Hemis for us, okay? Okay, in our Hemi group, or Hemi variety here, our senior buck is going to be first. He's got just fair width between the head. He's not as round and full through the cheeks and through the center of the eye as the standard calls for. Good bold eye, placed well on the head. A little thin on the substance of ear, but they are placed well and they do have good shape. Appreciate the depth of body that this guy has. He's very uniform on that width of body. Carries good width down into the lower hindquarters. Good coat texture and density today. Good overall color. our senior doe here, she's just a touch narrow and refined on that head shape, fairly angular along the jawline. Does have good bold eye, good color to the eye, good length of ear, fairly good substance of ear as well. She's got good depth of body at the shoulders, and again, good uniformity of width down into that lower hindquarters. Good coat texture and density. She's got good white color. The points could use to darken up just a touch. MR 85 on the junior doe. And then our little junior doe here, she too could use a touch more width and development of that head. She's just a little angular along the jawline, doesn't have the roundness through the muzzle there. Good placement to the eye, that bold eye shape as well. Good length of ear, just lacks some substance of ear yet. Good uniformity of width on that body. She blends well over that loin. She's got good dark point color, good white color as well. Your best Hemi will be the senior buck. Opposite will be the senior doe. Do we have any other AOVs? Okay, so those will be our group winners too. So then our junior doe can go ahead and go back. Okay, good group of Netherland dwarfs here today. Again, when we look at this breed, we're wanting something with that big, bold, round head, good short length to the ears and good substance of ears, and then that high head mount where it just blends smoothly over the shoulders down into the lower hindquarters today. Your best of breed is going to be from our tan group. It's going to be our Sable Martin buck. Best opposite sex will be from the shaded group. It will be our sable, Siamese sable doe.
So your Netherland Dwarf winners were both exhibited by Noah Wagler. Okay, we are now ready to move on to New Zealand. So go ahead and put your white senior buck and your white senior doe on the table.
No, he said we're gonna put those on that.
Yep.
Okay. So in our New Zealand's, we're looking for a meat type rabbit. We want something that exhibits meat producing qualities here. So we want it to be large and robust, very round and full. We want a thick, wide loin with a lot of fullness in the lower hindquarters. Our senior buck here, he's going to be first in class. He's a touch narrow and refined on that head, and he's a little bit smaller on the bone structure. Because of that, he's a little bit smaller than what we would consider ideal. We want a buck that's really carrying a lot of mass here so that those rabbits can grow quickly. So we'd like him to be just a little bit bigger on his bone structure and larger in general. But he does have good width through that loin and a lot of depth of loin. Does carry the fullness from that loin down into the lower hindquarters, so really appreciate that about him. Just would like to see a little bit more of him today. He lacks some coat condition today. You can see up over the top he's in a bit of a molt there, a little bit yellow and stained down in the lower hindquarters. TV 872. Okay, our senior doe here, she too could use a little bit more mass, a little bit more width and development to that head and a little more bone structure, but she's got good body structure. She's got a lot of depth of body at the shoulders. She blends that through a very wide, thick loin and carries a lot of fullness down into the lower hindquarters, so really appreciate the way her body structure is put together. She's got a good coat of fur on her today. She's even got a prime line running down the center of her back and good color. I have three others. What are they? You know what you guys have got up there? So there's another senior doe. Which one's the other senior doe? Down on the end? Senior buck, senior doe. And the other senior doe. Okay. Well, the good news is it wouldn't change. The class one is going to be the class one after. She's a little bit longer in body and doesn't have the fullness and all that. One second. Make sure this is a senior doe. Yep. So H2, she would have been second. She'll still be second. Okay, so we had two in that senior doe class, just missed it up here. So second place was going to be this doe. She's just a little bit lengthier in body there at the shoulders, doesn't have the fullness from that loin down to the lower hindquarters that first place has. And then she's a little bit rougher on her coat and flesh condition today. You can see she's a little bit more yellow on that coat, lacks some finish of that coat as well. So between the body structure and the coat, she wasn't going to get around the one that we already mentioned as first. Okay, our junior buck entry here. He's got good shape to the head and substance of ear. Good bone structure for a junior at this point. Fairly good side profile. He gets just a touch hollow as he comes over those hips. We'd like to see that loin be rounded and full through there, through the midsection there. And then when he comes down to the table, just gets a little bit undercut there. Does have good texture to his coat. Fairly good density and very good color. TV 887 for our junior doe. Okay, and then our junior doe here, she's got good set to that head and ears and good bone structure for a junior as well. Good side profile, but again, she lacks some fullness. She hasn't filled in through that loin and hasn't filled in the lower hindquarters just yet. She's a little bit coarser on the texture to her coat, good density, just fair color. I believe it. That's all of our whites then. Okay. In the whites here, our best variety is going to be the senior doe. She's got the most width of loin and the most fullness in the lower hindquarters. She's also got the most fur condition today as well. So she'll be the best of variety white. Between the two bucks, I like the bone structure a little bit better on the junior buck. He'll be best opposite sex variety. And then no other colors? Okay. So then that'll also be our breed. So our breed champion will be our white senior doe. Opposite will be our white junior buck.
Okay. Now we'll be ready to go to all other breeds. And go ahead and bring up, I do not have anybody listed as a senior buck. So does anybody have a senior buck in the all other breeds? So if you haven't been up there, if you have a senior buck, go ahead and bring it up. And if you have a junior buck, go ahead and bring it up. All other breeds. Those are both those. So we have one junior buck.
Shame about that one little spot of white right there, because the rest of the markings are pretty good. Okay, we just have one junior buck here in our any other breeds. We've got a junior Dutch, looks like an A2. He's got good shape to the head, good substance of ear, good depth of body, blends really well down into the lower hindquarters, and he's fleshed and conditioned really well today. Good markings on that blaze, comes up very clean up into the center of the eye there. Good marking on the neck marking as well. Fairly clean on the saddle, just a little bit wavy. Does have a big run of white that runs up his ear that spoils the markings on the top side. You flip him over and you look at the bottom side, and the cheeks, the right cheek there is hooked just a little bit back towards the mouth. Good shape to the left cheek, good undercut, and good stops on this guy.
Okay, go ahead and bring up the remaining. If you haven't had your rabbit on the table yet, go ahead and bring it up.
Okay, we're going to start with our any other breed senior does down here on this end with the number 2. This is one that one of the newer breeds is Lionhead, so this one's got some Lionhead characteristics, but is a little bit large for the breed, doesn't meet the varieties that are currently accepted. It's being taken care of extremely well. It's got great flesh condition. It's got good shape to that head for a lion head, but it's just a little bit larger on the overall bone structure, I think because it's probably been crossed with something else, and that's what's causing it to not quite meet the exact breed standards for the lion head itself. Really good substance to those ears. As I said, very good flesh condition, very smooth through that loin and lower hindquarters. Good texture to that wool on both the flanks and up around the head. Fairly good density to it as well. Do you have a BR29? Okay. BR29 is going to be 5th in the class here. She's got a fair shape to the head and length to the ears. She's just a little bit lower in body profile, so we're looking at a couple chins here in the middle when we talk about the other one here in a little bit. We need a little bit more size and mass, a little bit more commercial body structure to these guys, so she needs a little bit more depth of body there at the shoulders. She needs to be a touch rounder and fuller through the loin and down into the lower hindquarters. Do appreciate the texture and density to her coat. She's a little uneven on her coat today, but she does have very good ring color. When you blow into it, you get a really good circle with that intermediate pearl band. It's very bright as well. The number 3. Okay, now we get down here to the number 3 on this, and this is another one that's got some tufts of that wool around the head like a lion head would, but it's more commercial in its overall body structure. It's actually got pretty good depth of body there at the shoulders, blends well through that loin and lower hindquarters. Really appreciate the coat condition on this animal today. Really appreciate how good width of loin it is and how full it is into the lower hindquarters there. It's being well taken care of, but again, it doesn't necessarily meet any of our traditional breed standards. But I think as a commercial rabbit, it's performed really well. It's looking really good, and it's been cared for extremely well today as well. Okay, our other chin down here is ND13. Again, she's just a touch refined on that overall bone structure, a little bit smaller than what the chin standard would call for. She's a little bit flatter through the shoulders there, but she does have a little bit more width through that loin. She's a little bit fuller in the lower hindquarters, and then she's got better overall color. When you blow into her coat, you can see a little bit more definition to that ring than the chin we had a couple placings ago. She got a little bit more coat condition as well today. Our Dutch down here, I think it was an M possibly. It's going to be 2nd in this class. She's got good shape to the head and substance of ears and a good side profile. She carries good fullness through the loin and lower hindquarters. Really good, rich, intense blue color on this doe as well. She's got a fair blaze, just a little wavy there. Very good neck marking and a good saddle. Good cheek markings. Where she really fails to move up in this class is that undercut. It's just very ragged across there, and then she's just got fair stops today. First in this class is our mini lop here on this end. She's got fair width to the head. She does need more curvature and width and development down in the lower cheeks, and she could use a touch more width to that crown as well. But good shape and substance to those ears. Very good type. Got a lot of depth of body. She blends well through that loin. She's well muscled down into the lower hindquarters, and she's got an excellent coat of fur on her today as well. Good density and texture to that coat. Very good job. All of you guys are doing a good job with the animals. A couple things for a couple of you to just take a look at. They're easily fixable. But just get some help on taking care of those things when you get back home or later on this week, okay? No junior though? Okay, and our any other breeds, we're left with just the two class winners here, our senior doe and our junior buck. The senior doe, the mini lop entry, will be our best of the any other breeds. The opposite will be our junior buck, the Dutch, right beside it.
Okay, if you had a best or best opposite, please bring your rabbits up. So the winner of the all other breeds was Elena Winkler, and best opposite was Addison Giesler. Also today we've had with us the Daviess County Fair Queen, who has been so gracious to come and pass out the ribbons for everybody. So let's go ahead and give her a round of applause for doing that.
Well, thank you for having me here to work with your youth today and work with the animals. I think you've got some excellent rabbits that are up here on the table, but also some excellent youth. It's been a pleasure to work with them. I know we've got showmanship still to come here, and I'm looking forward to working with the youth that want to participate in that. Youth, start of the fair week. It's going to be a long week. Please thank your parents. My kids and I just finished our fair week this past week. They put in a lot of effort to help you, to allow you to be here. So remember to thank them throughout the course of the week for what they're doing to let you have this experience. The animals that are left over here on this side are really the ones that are left in contention for me. I think we've got our six breed or any other breed winners, and then a couple of the opposites that stay in contention as I'm looking at the top couple of animals here. I've raised I think all but one of these breeds that's up here right now at some point in time or still currently do. So can really appreciate the animals that you've got here. I think all of you have done an excellent job throughout the day. The animals have been extremely well cared for. Even as we get into July, we've got some excellent coats up here. For me, I think there's two or three that surface to the top. There's one I think that wins fairly easily. Your reserve in show today is going to be our Netherland dwarf right here in the middle. Really nice little Netherland dwarf. I'd like just a little bit more head and a little bit more coat to move it up into the first place. Best in show today is going to be the Mini Rex right here on this end. Really nice Mini Rex animal for your best in show.
Reserve in show went to Noah Wagler with his Netherland Dwarf, and best in show went to Mackenzie Spillman with her Mini Rex. Thank you, guys. Everybody go ahead and take your rabbits back, and then we will begin showmanship here in just a little bit. So if you're planning on doing showmanship for Clover, would you please come up here to the table, please? Down here by me. Please. Put your name on there. Clover would be grades 3, 4, 5. Okay, if you are in junior, which would be 6, 7, and 8, please come up. And senior showmans.
Okay, before the announcement's made as far as showmanship, a note I'd make for everybody that's competing, whether you're the youngest or the oldest, rabbit showmanship is different from a lot of the others because we ask you to go through and look your animal over. You're looking for the same things that I was looking for when I was evaluating it in class. So you're going to check to make sure that there's nothing physically wrong with it, that it's healthy. So it's important that you learn to communicate that as clearly as you can. So don't hesitate to speak up. We want you to vocalize what you're seeing and what you're feeling on your animal. And then the other thing that I'll say across the board, the best thing you can do to prepare for showmanship at home is just practice flipping your rabbit over. Because if you look at the sheet that's here, 75% of the points are on the bottom side of the rabbit. So if you can't flip the rabbit over and kind of work through those things, it's really hard for you to get those points. Our 4 youngest kids here all did a good job. You got your animals flipped over. I think the key for you guys is learning how to maintain control. And the individual that won was the one that not only flipped it over, but was still holding on to the rabbit when it was flipped over. So it was less likely for that rabbit to squirm and flip back over. And so I think that helped that particular individual get a few more points. I think all of you did a good job. Just work on that at home a little bit more to be able to flip over your animal and really maintain that control.
Okay, for junior, our Clover showman, we had, where's my list here? We had Gracie Spawn, Kendall Bass, Rylandar, and Graham Madison. So if you guys would all come up here, I'd appreciate it. And the champion showman for the Clover was Graham Madison. Okay, now for junior showman. We're going to start with Emerson Spawn. Okay, next up will be Connor Bass. Okay, next up will be Shaylee Graber. Can I go ahead and get Emerson and Connor and Shaylee to come up here?
Okay, your junior showman here, I think all did a good job. You're a little bit more controlled as far as being able to hold on to that animal, which is really important. Again, the thing I think I would mention to each of you is work on learning those terms. You may go through some of the actions, but if you don't give me the appropriate reason or the appropriate term, it's hard to give you the points. And so when you break down the points on there, you're doing a lot of the actions, but you're not necessarily giving me correct reasons or correct terms. So those are the things you can do to kind of move your score up a little bit higher.
And the winner of Junior Showman is Connor Bass. And we are ready for Senior Showman, and we're going to start with Addison Giesler. Grant Madison. Greg Clinton.
Okay, senior kids, I think all of you did a good job. Able to flip the rabbits over, which we would hope at that point in time that you get to that point. The thing that I would suggest for each of you is get copies of the form. You can go online, whether that's at Purdue or whether that's your local extension office. Get a copy of that so you know kind of the steps to follow to work your way down through there. And then just study and work on that at home. When you get to this level, especially if you choose to go on to the state fair and compete in any of the stuff there, you need to know what's on that form to really work your way all the way through it at that level. I think all of you have presented your rabbits really well. I would say just kind of dial in and try and focus in on the finer points of that to really improve your scores. But good job. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you today.
Okay, I need to get Addison, Grant, and Gregory up here, please. And the winner of the Senior Showman is Grant Madison. And thank you, everybody, for sticking around till the end. That'll be the end of the show for today.